Welcome to Wisconsin DNR's Wild Wisconsin Off the Record podcast. Information straight from the source.
Welcome back to another episode of Wild Wisconsin Off the Record, where we bring you inside voices on Wisconsin's outdoors. I'm your host and DNR's digital media coordinator, Katie Grant. I have vivid memories from my teenage years of reading the newspaper and skipping straight ahead to the daily police log. You know, because somehow that made me more of an adult than reading the comics would have. But that fascination with true crime is still alive and well today. Every time I get a new issue of Outdoor News, the first piece that I read is the cuffs and collars section. If you've ever looked at this part before, you've probably noticed that wardens do a lot more than just catching people who don't have a hunting or fishing license. I have the June 14th issue here, and let's see. It looks like just a few of the non-hunting and fishing related items include helping out at Learn to Hunt seminars, dealing with a vehicle left to burn in a wetland, monitoring a levee because of flooding, and assisting several other agencies with locating subjects that were involved in a pursuit. So yeah, wardens do a lot of things. Today we're joined by Lieutenant Warden John Sinclair and Chief Warden Todd Schaller. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do? John, do you want to start?
Sure. Well, like she said, my name is John, and I've worked as a conservation warden here at the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources for about 7.5 years now. I'm from the Kenosha area originally, and now I work up near Lake Mills, and I promoted into a supervisory position, but I'm just very passionate about this warden career that I've discovered and joined this team, and I'm here today to share my excitement about that and kind of my experience working through that process.
Fantastic. Chief?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Wisconsin. I've been with the Department of Natural Resources as a conservation warden in several different roles for over 30 years. Last 5 plus as a chief or overseeing the Bureau of Law Enforcement statewide. Always had an interest in the outdoors and hunting and fishing and camping with my family, and enjoy the interaction I have with the public as a conservation warden and as a Department of Natural Resource employee.
Fantastic. So you guys have been here for a little while. We didn't bring any brand new guys in here today at all. So really what we wanted to achieve with this episode and what we wanted everyone listening to know is for us to really set the record straight about what wardens are and what it is that you guys do. So first off, what is a conservation warden?
Sure. I'll start with that. I think first off, a conservation warden they're a law enforcement officer within the Department of Natural Resources, and they're a law enforcement officer no different than your county sheriff, your city police, or your state patrol officer. We just have a unique area of responsibility and what rules we enforce and how we work with the public, and it's really focused on the fun things in life, natural resources, being outdoors, using our state parks, our state properties, recreational vehicles, ATVs, snowmobiles, boats, and then rules and regulations and education associated with our environmental laws, so keeping our air clean to breathe and our water clean to drink. But again, first and foremost, we're a law enforcement officer with that unique niche of a type of law enforcement that we enforce.
Fantastic. And when you're looking online or maybe reading things, message boards, I spend a lot of time on social media, so I see a lot of stuff there. I see a lot of different names, everything from recreation warden to game warden to conservation warden. Are they all the same thing or different things, maybe different specialties?
They're all really the same thing, and I think it kind of varies across the state, what people are used to. It even varies across the country. We are formally called conservation wardens.
Okay.
That's the official name. I think that is a reflective of what we do, and it's broader than the term game warden. It's broader than the rec warden. So conservation warden, I think, defines us having responsibility in hunting and fishing, rec vehicles, state land, and environmental.
All right. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think the chief touched on it, but we really are the Jack and Jills of all trades when it comes to protecting the outdoors and the people that use them. And that's not just the person who's out there fishing. It's the person, like the chief said, who's drinking the water, breathing the air. And so our service goes well beyond maybe that, traditional game warden stereotype that some people know. We get involved in so many different types of cases that benefit people and resources in so many different types of ways.
Fantastic. So you guys are considered police, right?
Yes, we're considered police.
All right.
And we look like police.
Yes.
I think that's the one thing, folks, we go to school groups all the time and I always say, what do I look like? And they're like, well, you look like a policeman. And yeah, we are. We are policemen. We go through the same training. We have generally the same authorities to deal with situations that we handle. We arrest people, we take them to jail, we issue citations, we issue warnings. The whole gamut of what you would envision a normal police officer to do.
All right. And I guess that kind of runs into, you have an academy to go through, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that training and kind of how that all goes?
Absolutely. So we have a pretty rigorous training process that it extends over about a year's worth of time once someone gets hired on as a conservation warden. So once they make it through that hiring process, we'll actually put them through our own academy. That academy is the same length and breadth as an academy that any other law enforcement officer in Wisconsin goes through. So whether you're a trooper, a sheriff's deputy, police officer, you're going through the same general topics in the same academy or same type of academy as our wardens go through. So that lasts 5 to 6 months where you're learning hands-on training, you're learning through PowerPoint, reading and studying at nights, and going through a scenario-based training where you get to actually practice your skills interacting with other people in kind of scenario or mock scenarios. So it's a very in-depth training. We cover everything from traditional police work to the more specialized fish, game, recreational vehicle, and environmental enforcement work that we do. And we also teach our wardens how to communicate effectively. So we do a lot of public relations work in our roles, and we need to make sure our wardens are good communicators, they're good writers, and they're good ambassadors for the agency as a whole. So that's a pretty comprehensive 5 or 6 months. We pack a lot in, and our wardens learn a lot. And then after that time, they get out of that more classroom-based setting and they get out into the field and do what we call field training assignments. So right now, that's typically about three field training assignments that each new warden will go through, and that's where they are paired up with a more experienced warden who mentors them, teaches them, evaluates them on their performance, and tries to get them to the level where they can work on their own and be more independent. So that field training process continues throughout the rest of that first year, and at about the end of that first year, most wardens are ready to get out into the field and to work a little bit more independently. That's when they join a warden team, they get assigned to a county or part of a county, and they start doing, filling, I guess, the roles that they've been training for.
Yeah. So you guys recently were doing some major recruiting, and one of the questions I saw come up a lot was, do I have to be a state trooper or work in other police departments or anything like that before I can become a warden? So
that's a great question. I know there's different assumptions out there about what it takes to become a warden, and I think the truth is we're looking for quality candidates, people that can learn, people that are passionate about the natural resources and passionate about serving others. And so we're not looking for a cookie cutter applicant by any means, so that you don't have to have prior law enforcement experience. I myself did not have that prior law enforcement experience when I got hired. We do hire people that have prior law enforcement experience, and we do value the institutional knowledge, the experience that they bring with them. So there's really no right or wrong way to come into this career. You can really come from almost any background and become a successful conservation warden.
Right. So are there any interesting myths about wardens out there that either of you would like to bust once and for all?
I have a myth, but I'm hesitant to break it because it does work to our advantage. So oftentimes there's the myth that there's a warden behind every tree.
Ooh.
And I guess the numbers tell us that that's not the case. We only have, a couple hundred to cover the state.
Yeah, we have a lot of trees in the state.
We have a lot of trees. So the trees outnumber us. So that's a myth. But I think the fact that the public helps us do our job, and they're oftentimes eyes and ears for us and can give us tips and information that help hold people accountable for making the recreational experience safe and protecting the resource. So in a way, there is eyes and ears behind every tree, and it might not be a conservation warden. It might be somebody else enjoying the trails with you, or out fishing with you, or out enjoying a hike on our state properties. So the public is really our eyes and ears, and that helps us be behind every tree.
Right. So how can the public help get you some of that information?
We have a tip line. It's a 1-800-TIP-WDNR. It's staffed 24 hours a day, 365 days out of the year. And that's really the venue and the best venue for somebody who wants to report a violation or a concern that they see in the area of natural resources, recreational vehicle, and environmental, whether it's a resource violation or a safety violation, is to call that number. They collect all that information, and then they get that out to the nearest warden in that particular area. A neat thing about it is it's confidential. So if you leave your name and number, we can't by statute or law release that name or number to the public. And also, you wouldn't have to leave your name and number. You can leave an anonymous tip, which is good, but it's always nice if we can follow up maybe with that extra question that maybe you didn't answer.
Yeah. Do you have any myths you would like to bust?
Sure. I guess we touched on it earlier, but when it comes to myths, I think there are some myths regarding who can get into this career, who can even apply and put their name on the list to be considered. And we touched on it earlier. We really hire a really diverse group of applicants when we hire typically every year. And so the chief and I, for example, have very different backgrounds in how we found our way to our careers. I just want people to know that there isn't a specific set route that you have to take to become a warden. It doesn't matter if you're from Wisconsin or not. It doesn't matter which college you went to. It doesn't necessarily, you don't have to be an expert angler or an expert hunter to become a successful conservation warden. I came from a somewhat non-traditional background where I was more active in the silent sport community prior to becoming a conservation warden. I went to school and studied journalism here in Madison. And I wasn't sure if that would make me a good fit to become a warden. And what I found was that a huge part of what we do is communicate.
Right.
And that's something, those are skills I've developed through my education and my background. And so those skills, while maybe non-traditional or non-stereotypical in some people's eyes, have actually helped make me successful in my role.
Yeah. So you guys are all over the place. You cover parks, shorelines, state forests in the middle of nowhere. Do you guys do anything in like Madison, Milwaukee, and the cities?
Absolutely. We have wardens stationed in every county of the state, so all 72 counties. And actually, sometimes, I think a lot of people think, the rural or the urban areas is where we're busiest because there's more state land or more forest or lakes and rivers, but Milwaukee, Madison, Green Bay, Eau Claire, Wausau, La Crosse, our populated areas, they're very busy for our conservation wardens. We have people assigned in every one of those. Speak of Madison and Milwaukee. Milwaukee, you got the lakefront. So you got the Milwaukee River goes through, so it's a very popular boating area. The lakefront's very popular for fishing activities. Lakefront State Park is down there. So obviously we have a need to be in Milwaukee, in the Milwaukee County area. Madison, it's surrounded by 3 lakes. Mendota, Monona, and Waubesa, very popular rec boating area. A couple state parks within Dane County area. Yeah, we are everywhere because I think the resources everywhere, recreational opportunities are everywhere, and people enjoy those and sometimes don't have to travel to rural Wisconsin or northern Wisconsin to get out and about.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely one of the greatest parts of Wisconsin is that you can get outdoors and do something pretty much anywhere. Yeah. All right, so you mentioned the lakefront in Milwaukee. So what about something like the Summerfest fireworks there or Shake the Lake here in Madison? Are you guys out on the water for events like that?
We are, and that's a big part of the rec vehicle side. Really, we're out there to make sure people, one, enjoy the experience. But when you have a lot of people on the water, concentration of boaters and different types of boats, big boats, kayaks, fishing boats, we want to make sure folks are doing it in a safe environment, making sure they have their lights on, making sure they're not drinking and driving. So, yeah, we have a presence on the water for those events, hopefully to deter unsafe activity, and then if we have to address unsafe activity, maybe a drunk driver or drunk boater, we'll physically take them off the water at that point in time. But we oftentimes work with our partners in doing that. And John, locally, I know, has done that in the Dane County area.
Yeah.
You mentioned fireworks. So I've had the opportunity to work the Milwaukee fireworks. I've worked fireworks on Lake Winnebago. I've worked them on the Mississippi River. I've worked them on the Madison Chain. And every time I get home from working one of those events, I always get asked, how were the fireworks? And it's funny because you're on the water for that entire time, and there's lights and flashes and booms going all around you. But I always get home and I'm like, I'm not sure.
It's the last thing you're paying attention to.
Occasionally you look up and you'll see the burst or the shooting stars or whatever it is, but you're really not getting the opportunity to kind of kick back and enjoy it because you are working. But you do get to talk to people who are very excited to be out there and enjoying the fireworks. And so I'll have to sometime go where I can just enjoy it and watch it versus work it.
Yeah. Someday I think you'll get that.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about the job itself and what it is that you guys do day to day, but we want to hear about you guys. I know, John, you kind of talked a little bit about how you come from a non-traditional background. What made you interested in the position, and when did you realize that this was what you wanted to do?
Sure. Well, I was always interested in law enforcement, and I just wasn't quite sure what type, and I wanted to keep my options open. And I figured having a background in journalism wouldn't hurt me because I knew that writing well, speaking well, being able to present publicly were good skills to apply in any career.
Right.
And I had a friend who worked as a conservation warden, and I did a few ride-alongs with him. That really sparked my interest because I saw how much, excitement he had for the job, how awesome the job was, and that our office was the outdoors. Our office was the truck. We weren't sitting in a cubicle in a dark office. We were out in the woods, out on the water, out knocking on people's front doors, initiating conversations, and it was so much fun, and it was so unique compared to any of the past jobs that I had had. It was pretty cool to see that warden's passion, and it really motivated me to more seriously consider the conservation warden role. And so I was lucky enough to be hired during the first hiring process I put in for. And then I went through our full training process, and I started out as a warden down in Kenosha, which is where I'm from originally. So that was a unique kind of change for me because you're used to walking and driving around in your hometown, in your personal vehicle, grocery shopping, whatever it might be, and everybody just knows that you're John. It's a much different perspective when you're wearing a uniform as a badge.
And a badge all of a sudden is there.
And your role has changed a little bit because now you're there to maybe tell people they're not doing something correctly, or you're taking some corrective action to hold them accountable for things they've done that weren't safe and weren't good for the environment. And so I think I made that adjustment pretty well, but it was a very different perspective, looking at your own community through a different lens.
Yeah.
So, but it was also really rewarding because now I felt like I was giving something back to that community, right? Growing up as a young boy in that area, I kind of, I was part of the community. I enjoyed the community, but I don't know if I was always giving something back. And so it was cool to feel like I was reinvesting. And frankly, it was my job to invest in that community. Like, how cool is that? So I never had that opportunity in many of the other jobs I'd had. And this job gave that opportunity. So.
Very cool. What about you, Chief?
I think part of me, what drove me this way and why I enjoy the career for the 30 years that I've been doing it is I've always enjoyed the outdoors, and it was all sides of it. I mountain bike, I hike, I camp, I fish, I trap, I have a boat, I have a dog. So I just enjoy the outdoors. And one of the things as I got into the career, and even now I hear people say, well, if you do that job, you don't get to hunt as much, or you don't get to fish as much, you don't get to mountain bike and enjoy it. And that's true to a point. But what I've always enjoyed in my career is the fact that I'm not doing it, but I'm talking to and dealing with and hearing the stories of the people who really enjoy the same things I do. So maybe I'm not on the lake catching the big muskie, but I'm talking to the guy or the young guy or the boy or the kid or the gal who just caught the big muskie or caught the muskie the day before, and they're telling me all about the stories. And that's kind of what I enjoy about the experience, and the interaction that we have with the public. And it really goes back to, as John indicated earlier, a passion for the natural resources, a passion for Wisconsin's natural resources, and being a piece of that.
Did you know that this is what you always wanted to do?
I did. I tell folks, I think in my sophomore year in high school, we had to write a book in English or journalism, and the book had to have past, present, and future. And I did that, and my future as a sophomore in high school was that I wanted to be a conservation warden.
Very cool.
I did say I wanted to be a conservation warden in the mountains out west, and I never left Wisconsin, but I'm perfectly fine with that. So, I think it was always what I wanted to do. Some people ask why. I don't know. It was, I think, just how I was raised. My family enjoyed the outdoors, and that was what the connection was.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you love, fishing, hunting, doing all of the things. I've heard through the grapevine.
Uh-oh.
Yep, that face is appropriate. That you don't just do normal duck hunting. You kind of take duck hunting to the extreme.
Yeah, some could say that. So
can you tell us a little bit about that?
I enjoy waterfowl hunting, but I enjoy what's called open water or big water waterfowl hunting. So I layout hunt, which basically is taking a boat probably the size of the normal kitchen table, and you take it out in the water and you anchor it. So the water, meaning Lake Michigan, Green Bay. I go to Green Bay a lot. You anchor the boat, and then you kind of crawl into it and lay in the water where you're kind of at the same level as the waves, and you have your decoys out in front of you. And then the ducks, and you're all by yourself. There's another boat that helps you get out there and helps recover your ducks. So, yeah, it's a little bit of the extreme.
It's a bit extreme.
It's a bit extreme, but it's a pretty neat experience.
Very cool.
So.
Yeah. Okay. I was told that I had to ask about it. So
fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay, so a couple weeks ago we had Secretary Cole on here and Tourism Secretary Meany, and they both said that they have the best jobs in Wisconsin. And Chief, you are shaking your head no here. Tell me, what is the best thing about your job and why your job is the best job in Wisconsin?
The best thing about why this is the best job in Wisconsin is as on a daily basis, I get to talk to, work with, engage with, partner with people who enjoy the outdoors and all of what Wisconsin has to offer. And again, it's so many things. It's biking, hiking, camping, and that to me is extremely rewarding. And as a law enforcement officer, there's downsides to this job, but the vast majority of the public that we interact with are following the rules, know the rules, understand the importance of the rules. So that's number one. And two, John touched on it. It's so diverse what we do, and I've been doing it for 30 years. And I tell people I don't know that I've ever worked a day in my life. It's just part of having fun and part of what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's such a unique job in that you get to give back, to your state, to community. You develop those partnerships and relationships in real time and, in real life. And you get to protect the natural resources and the people that use them. And I know I've said that a few times, and it sounds, like a little like I'm on repeat.
A little cliche, but
yeah, there you go. That's absolutely right. But it's absolutely true. When I go to bed at night, I generally feel pretty good and pretty excited to come to work the next day or to wake up the next day, because I know that what I'm doing, even if I'm not doing something that's having a significant impact on an average day, or I'm not saving the world on a daily basis by any stretch, I'm doing something that I believe, will help the community, will help the environment, and that feels pretty good. So it's a really rewarding job in that sense, and it's really unique in that sense. And I think the department does a really nice job of taking care of its employees as well. And so the warden job is great too, because of some of the benefits that our wardens have, and that can be something like a somewhat flexible schedule.
Yeah.
Also an awful lot of neat opportunities to see things, see sunrises, sunsets, sturgeon spawning on the Wolf River, baby bears, fawns, eagles in your hands to handle an injured eagle, crystal clear water on Lake Superior, the middle of Lake Michigan. Just a lot of really neat experiences that you get because of the job and the diverse nature of the job, which is pretty neat experience.
Yeah. I know you guys send me some pretty cool pictures for social media sometimes. So speaking of unique experiences, have you guys ever come across any weird, like, exotic animals?
Yes, I have. And it was kind of a unique call, and it really wasn't the Department of Natural Resource call at the end of the day, but because it involved an animal or animals, they called us. So I was a supervisor in Oshkosh, and I worked out of our Oshkosh office and supervised multiple counties, but I got a call from the police department who had concerns that there was an individual who was raising snakes in an apartment. So I said, "Oh, sure, we'll come down. Some snakes aren't protected. There's legal ways to hold them, illegal ways to hold them." But so I met the police officer, and I met the other warden who was going with me, and knock on the door. The gentleman was very helpful. Come on in. Yeah, of course I raise snakes. And so apartment, small, sometimes got narrow hallways. So he's leading us down the hallway, and I'm following along. I'm kind of excited to see what we're going to see. And we're going towards a closed door, and he opens it and walks in, and I look behind me, and the other officer and the other warden, they're tucked and hiding back behind. Apparently, they were afraid of snakes. So we go into this guy's room, and he had 20, 30 different types of snakes in aquariums and cages, and I'm not a snake lover, but I was fine with them as long as they were in the cage. So that's not a wild, exotic experience, but it was something that our folks kind of get involved with from time to time, and get the opportunity to see some unique, maybe not your traditional wildlife in Wisconsin, but things that people have an interest in. So
that's a lot of snakes for one room
it
in an apartment.
It was.
Yikes.
And with snakes come mice, because snakes have to eat. So if you're not a fan of snakes or mice, that wasn't a good situation for you.
For sure. Any interesting ones for you?
I can think one case that really sticks out to me was I was working out a boat patrol for, I think, the Milwaukee Air and Water Show with another warden, doing one of those outreach or big popular event type details that we do. And we got a call from the Milwaukee Police Department about a lion that they had reportedly spotted in downtown Milwaukee or near downtown Milwaukee. And so there have been some reports leading up to that and unconfirmed sightings. And people don't always see what they think they're seeing when they call us. But we try to, be good stewards, and we investigate and we follow up.
Absolutely.
And this sounded like a more confident sighting. So we pulled our boat back to shore. We got in the truck and headed to that neighborhood, and there was Milwaukee police officers all over the place. We called in some extra wardens, talked to our biologists about what our options were if we actually tracked down a lion. And the report was this might be like an African lion, which certainly doesn't belong anywhere in Wisconsin.
Right.
And so we spent the next few hours and into the next day searching kind of these little pockets of dense trees and shrubs, kind of shoulder to shoulder with other law enforcement officers looking for this lion, because there was a real concern that it was going to impact the safety of the residents in that area. And we didn't treat it as a joking matter. We didn't end up finding a lion, which maybe, is okay in my mind. I don't think anyone ended up finding it. No one got hurt. But it was one of those calls where you're like, what? Where am I going right now? What is about to happen? What am I about to see? And that's that's maybe few and far between. But our job is full of those moments where you're heading to a call and you're like, I've never heard of this before, or I've never thought of this scenario before, and that's why we need smart people and we need adaptable people, because my gosh, I'm not trained as a lion handler. So
are you sure about that? That's not part of the academy?
Yeah, no, and we can talk about incorporating that in the future, but I think not as of right now.
Lion handle, that's got the chair, right? Don't you?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
chair.
yeah.
And like a whip.
You probably
yeah.
need like a cape
Yeah,
of some
yeah.
sort, maybe a top hat. Yeah.
We're gonna have to reinvest in some equipment
Yeah,
apparently.
new
So,
uniforms,
new
new
uniforms.
uniforms,
Everybody
yeah.
gets a squad truck and a lion chair.
Yeah, yeah. I like it. I like it. All right. So to kind of wrap things up, what is the one thing you absolutely want people to know about being a conservation warden?
Well, I would jump in and say that, first off, it's an awesome career. I want to encourage anybody who even thinks it might sound interesting, learn more about it. Check out our website, call our recruiter, give me a call any warden in your area, learn more about the career and see if it's right for you. Maybe jump in and do a ride along with somebody. And the other piece of that excitement that I'm sharing is, even if maybe you're like, this isn't the career for me, or I'm not interested in law enforcement, or I have a different passion and I'm going this direction, I hope that you take a moment to understand what we do and the value that we provide to Wisconsin, because don't just take my word for it, but I think we serve this really important and unique role in Wisconsin as protectors of the natural resources and the people that use them. And oftentimes we're kind of behind the scenes, and because we are spread out, you don't see a warden on patrol every day when you're out driving your car or taking a walk. Doesn't mean we're not out there, and it doesn't mean we aren't working to protect you, your family, and the environment you depend on. And so I hope people understand the important role that we serve within the state.
Yeah, I'll just maybe expound on that. I think the biggest thing is conservation wardens are there to serve the people, and it's about serving everybody. 5.5 million people in the state of Wisconsin. It's not just about people who hunt or fish or boat. We're a service-oriented agency and a service-oriented law enforcement agency. Our focus is on the future and protecting the natural resources and our clean air and our clean water, not for us personally today, but for grandkids and grandkids of grandkids or great-grandkids, I guess it would be called. So we're really about a service that we provide to the citizens, and our focus is on, that future resource, that future clean water, and making sure that it's there for us to enjoy for forever, and hopefully at the time we get to retirement and kids or grandkids, they're talking about catching a muskie or shooting a deer or enjoying a hike through one of our beautiful state parks.
Yeah. Well, thank you both so much for being here. I really hope that the listeners have a good sense of what it is that you guys do, and that it's more than just finding people who don't have their fishing license when they're out fishing. So thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks
Enjoy
for
it.
having us.
Interested in learning more about becoming a conservation warden? Visit dnr.wi.gov and search Warden Recruitment for more information. We hope you've been enjoying Wild Wisconsin Off the Record. Have some feedback to give us? We would love to hear from you. Depending on where you get your podcast from, you may be able to leave both a rating and a review right here in the app you're listening from. Otherwise, feel free to shoot us an email. We would love to hear both your feedback and maybe even ideas you might have for future episodes. You can send those emails to dnrpodcast@wisconsin.gov. We hope you'll stay tuned for more inside voices on Wisconsin's outdoors, coming at you every other Wednesday. Thanks for listening.